Hey guys, welcome back. Part one was yesterday when I started soaking the beans. So as you saw, I had apple cider vinegar, water, salt, the beans, and I ended up going with a bigger container because there's more beans than I thought. So we're going to rinse them off right now. Give them a good rinse. They expanded a little bit, looking pretty good there. Give them a nice rinse. We're going to have to do a pre-boil, I suppose what it is. We're going to soften them up about 45 minutes. We're going to throw some aromatics in there, like we're going to throw a carrot, we're going to throw some garlic, and a little sprinkle of thyme, which is all going to come out when we move on to the next step where Chris will be showing you. But for now, we're going to rinse it off. These smell great.
And we do have to apologize for a little bit of shakiness on the video because, being myself, I left my tripod at home and my video is not recording on my SD card, so we had to go back to a cell phone for this one, but you'll get the main gist of it.
That's a good amount of beans. So I'll grab my pot. You could use a Dutch oven, you could use a slow cooker, but we're doing backyard beans today. We're using a similar recipe to the Boston bean, but these are backyard beans. So toss these in.
And when they were soaking, you also tossed in a little bit of apple cider vinegar, didn't you, just for a little bit of a kick?
I did. I'm trying to get the aromatics in this. I want to focus heavily on getting subtle flavors in there. They say you can flavor it to touch or whatever, to taste. But what I want to do is I want to get that in there because something about smoke and apple cider vinegar that just goes well together.
Hey, it worked good with our rib recipe, so.
It did work good. So over here I got some I got one carrot chopped up and a big old clove of garlic chopped up as well. Toss them in there. Pass that over here. You can use fresh thyme, you can use bay leaves. I've got this time. My time.
Everybody's got time.
Everybody's got time. I'm just going to sprinkle a bit in there. Again, it's for aromatics. It's not sprinkling fast enough. I don't want to overload it. I'm not making stuffing. Salt, we're calling for a couple tablespoons of salt. That's a couple tablespoons. It soaked, I had a couple tablespoons when it was soaking last night. And now I'm going to fill it up with some water. You want a generous amount of water because you're going to go, it's going to absorb, right? We're going to boil these for 45 minutes-ish. So you want to make sure it's good and covered. We're going to spare you 45 minutes of boiling. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get this going and explain to you, and when cut out to the next portion when it's about ready. I'm actually going to put a splash of apple cider vinegar in there too.
I'm pretty sure I've seen the splash.
Just a little more. Just a little splash. So we'll be back with the next video once these are a little bit closer to ready.
Well, first Chris is going to take over for me. I'm going to get the little bit of pork fat and bacon ready because we're going to make like a really nice pork molassesy bean. So Chris is going to take over.
I forgot about that. My bad.
No worries.
So if you remember our last video, we made bacon.
Yep, so after our bacon video, when I did the butchering of the bacon, we were left with all these big fatty cutoffs. And we knew that we were going to be able to use them, so why not use them with some beans? It's the perfect thing. Alright, so what I'm going to show you right now is, where's my chef knife? Right here. For the sauce itself, we need to have these bits of bacon. I'm going to have 4 more cloves of garlic and 1 big red onion. And Chris has another list of ingredients, which he's going to show in a little bit. But for now, what we're going to do is I always leave a little bit of meat on the fat. So it's always going to hold together. You'll get a little bit of meat, a little bit of fat in each bite. Pretty much easy to do. Slice and just chunk it up. It's at your own discretion how big we kind of feel that bacon is always better in bigger quantities. We're going to use really nice chunks in our beans. A couple of pieces here. I can still smell the smoke from when we made them, and this has been frozen for a week.
Now it calls for about a half a pound of bacon, roughly. We got about a full pound here.
Well, we also have like 4 pounds of beans roughly, and the recipe was for 2 pounds, so we had this to spare. Why not double it up? This is going to be great, Chris.
Oh yeah. I always, when my dad makes beans, he makes great beans, and I always love getting those little bits of salt pork.
Oh yeah, salt pork, yeah.
So it's a big thing that we add a lot to this bacon here, because these are going to be some fantastic beans. That is just sacrilegious.
So what we're going to do is take this to the side for just a second. Like I said, we're using roughly, we guessed around a pound. A mixture of fat and meat. Next, we're going to need 1 whole red onion. This doesn't have to be finely chopped, but you don't want huge chunks. It's pretty much at your own discretion, but what I'm going to do is cut it in probably not little less than 1/4 inch, and then take it on the side and just piece it up. I'm a really big fan of onion, and I know Chris is too. A lot of people are. So you kind of do want to taste it. There we go. And for this part, this I actually got off another YouTuber that seen one of our videos, and he always watched us hand peel garlic, and it was kind of a process. So for what you might not know and I just learned, take a bunch of cloves of garlic, put them in a container, seal it up. This is takes about 30 seconds, but just check this out. You want a really vigorous shake for about 20 seconds, so I can't talk because you're not going to hear me anyway. Alright, let's see what we got. 1, 2, almost 3, and 4. Perfectly peeled. Great little trick. And we kind of want a few little chunks of this as well. So we're not going to totally dice it. So we're going to cut it in thirds, and then take those thirds, still a little bit of skin, and then just kind of give those a quick little chop.
Nothing wrong with biting into a nice piece of garlic.
Garlic and onion are pretty much key in everything that I've ever cooked. So there we go, we'll get this ready real quick. And there we go. This is going into the beans once it's done boiling. Chris has a list of ingredients here. We're using fancy molasses, not because it's actually fancy.
Not the Crown Royal.
Not the Crown Royal, that's mine. So brand name fancy molasses. We're using a little bit of dry mustard. You could use regular mustard. Dry mustard is it just mixes in better, and some cracked pepper and a little bit more salt. The Athena we find works really good. Sea salt. So, as of now, this is what we're doing. We're going to wait for this to boil. We have our aftermath products that we're going to use. We'll get this strained out. We're going to use some of the juices from the beans because it's just a really great broth. The flavor's already there.
Starchy.
And then, and it's also a little bit starchy because we want this to thicken up. We want like really thick beans. we're pretty much using 1.5 times the molasses it calls for. But we're also going to do a video of a breakfast that involves really thick beans. So stay tuned. Next step is going to be Chris straining and putting on the smoker.